Prince George's County Cable Television Commission meeting for September will come to order. I am Cherie Gibson, Chair. And do you mind?
Festus Udegrafo.
Kathleen Driver.
Delma Newsom Summers.
Cynthia Miller.
Thank you for joining us. We'll start on our agenda. The first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from the August 28th, 2019 meeting. Are there any changes or comments from the commissioners on the minutes? Right. And I'll have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
A second. Okay. Thank you. The minutes from the August 28th meeting are approved. Next, we will go into our action items.
Yes, there's one action item from the July 24, 2019 Cable Commission meeting. The action item to review, Commissioner Cabin Driver requested a follow-up from a complaint by Pastor John Middlestead of Divine Lutheran Church, which is also a school. So Pastor John had expressed concern regarding a notice that they received from Comcast stating that they're no longer eligible for courtesy service. And he also stated that that account has been active since 2002. So Pastor John requested if there's any way of restoring that service, courtesy service to them, because the account has been active since 2002. I think who also was the Comcast manager was present at the meeting. She explained that Pastor John had reached out to the customer service to inquire about upgrading their internet service. It was during that call that the representative discovered that the account has been receiving courtesy service which they're not eligible to receive. So, because it was a private institution, so they're not eligible to receive courtesy service. Courtesy service is only available to the Prince George's County School, according to the franchise agreement. So Comcast is not able to offer them that, the courtesy service. As stated, according to the Comcast, franchise agreement, so they're not eligible to receive that because they're a private institution and it's only available to the Prince George's County public schools.
Question. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as part of his comment, I thought he also made a comment that he was being charged for services that he never signed up for. So as part of that change, so when it was discovered he was no longer eligible for courtesy service, then somehow he started being charged for service that he didn't have.
Oh, that was an error that was corrected.
Okay, that was corrected.
Yeah,
okay.
that was corrected.
Okay.
So that was different from the courtesy service.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
They provided a $300 credit for
Okay.
that portion.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we record that somewhere that both of his issues were resolved.
Yeah, both have
Okay.
been resolved.
Okay.
Because Comcast is not able to provide
Understood.
them the
Yeah,
courtesy
but then
the other issue has
yeah, the
been
other,
resolved.
but they can't start charging him for a service that he doesn't have. Also, yeah.
They
Okay.
credited him for that.
Okay,
error.
great.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Driver. I have a question as well. So, was Pastor Middleset alerted in writing, or did he receive a phone call, or
Both,
Okay.
via email from
Yeah.
Annie and her leadership as well.
okay, wonderful.
Yeah, he was formally informed.
Okay. Thank you.
So that concludes the action item for today.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the monthly reports.
Yes, the monthly report for the month of August 2019. For Comcast, we have 9 open calls and they're all closed. There are no outstanding calls for Comcast. And also for Verizon, we have 26 open calls. They are all closed, no outstanding calls. So that concludes my report for monthly complaint.
Any questions or comments for those monthly reports? Okay, we'll move on to the community television of Prince George's County report.
That report was submitted, and and it was accepted.
Next on our agenda, we'll move to the public comment period.
So for the public, we have Mr. Evans in our midst. So Mr. Evans, you can speak to the commissioners.
Oh, I ain't doing that too. I'd like to thank you for all your help.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Evans was notified that, Ms. Peaches was available by phone, and, he was provided with her contact information. Did you ever get a chance to speak to her?
No, I spoke to a gentleman that's the chief of staff of the county. He recommended that I work it out with a judge, so we're going to go that route.
So question for you. So, the chief of staff, do you have his name? Do you know who that was that
The
you spoke
young
with?
man was, Ryan Middleton.
Okay, so we reached out to Mr. Evans yesterday, and we provided him with the contact information according to Ms. Peaches. She has requested that, we can provide her information so that he can contact.
So Mr. Evans, you prefer to go that route as opposed to contacting Mrs. Peaches? I mean, we did, just for our clarification, because we did reach out to Community CTV on your behalf in writing to a letter to Mrs. Peaches, which she responded to the Cable Commission, and I believe, as you mentioned, that he was given that response. So based on that response, and she opened the door for you to communicate with her, to call and make contact with her for further discussion and hopefully, understanding of, where you may be with your programming submission. So are you saying that you prefer to not take the opportunity to meet with Mrs. Peaches?
I'm saying Mrs. Peaches never returned any of my phone calls. Mrs. Peaches made no attempt to solve this problem. Mrs. Peaches has, I don't know. I am from the South, okay? I've been in all 13 Confederate states. I never ran across such blatant racism, discrimination, whatever is down there at PGTV. Mr. Middleton told me to go ahead and let the judge work it out. But I've made attempts. She has not seen fit to even attempt to return a phone call.
What was your last recent call to her?
Say again?
When was your last recent call to her?
The young lady here told me that she was waiting on a call. I called her back. The young lady told me that one of the reasons she hasn't contacted me in the last 30 days because she had a fax number or something. So I called her. I've called her every day for the last 7 days. They left my email address and asked her to email me with a conference call appointment. She feels no need to do that. So I'm going to take Ms. Middleton's advice.
So when you called her these 6 times and did you speak to someone there, or did you you left her a voicemail?
Yes, that's the only way you can get her. And when she told me she was available, she purposely didn't answer the phone. I called her right after the young lady. I don't know what kind of, I don't know how she got all this.
Okay, well, I would like to thank Commissioner Driver for her assistance in contacting Ms. Peaches. We did, as she said, send her a letter after your appearance last month, and we received a response. And so we certainly would like to be available to help facilitate, contact with Mrs. Peaches. But it certainly is your right to pursue the matter in a different way. If you want to come back before us, we'd be happy to help you.
And she showed no respect for even showing up here. So,
Well, they responded back that they had a conflict tonight. So, I mean, and they told us that in the letter, I believe that was in the letter, that they did have a
Yes.
conflict. But they would do their best to send a representative next month.
she has come from time and place. We'll just go the other route. But I appreciate Madam Chair, everything you've done.
Okay.
So, the next public comment will be Mr. Gibbons.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been under the weather, and I'm still under the weather. I just came out of the hospital this morning. But I was couple of months ago, I think now. And when I left, one of the commissioners suggested that I get in contact with somebody from Verizon. And after about a couple of weeks, someone called me from Verizon, left a name of Miss Janison, I think, and I wasn't in. And later they gave me a name of Mrs. Tyler or something that simple. And when I finally called the number back, I got somebody on the phone. And one of my problems has been in communicating with them. I refuse to communicate them over the telephone because they don't tell the truth, or by email, because emails is deceptive, and I don't look at emails if I don't have to. My granddaughter takes care of the computer setup, and that's basically all it is. But I called that office to talk to Mrs. Jane. I think her name was Jane.
Toya James.
James. And I said, this problem started out back in December, and one of the problems I had was the pricing of the new add-on to my computer. Now, I don't know if I've told you this before. And
I think you've told the previous commission.
okay, was that I had a new TV that I was getting for Christmas, and that adding the TV, I originally looked at a bill and it said $11 and some cent for the cost of the set-top box. And I said, well, at this point, this month, December, you're also offering a telephone 2-year program for $77 and I think 99 cents. So let me look at your record. And they took about 15 or 20 minutes and looked at my record and said, oh, came back, that's great. You can walk up to your corner because right up the street from you is a Verizon franchise. You can get the new set-top box. So I got the set-top box, but previously when I was talking to them, my telephone bill went from $120 a month, and I paid that automatically, not based on Verizon telling me anything, with the exception it made things easier for me, waiting upon my grandkids to pay my bills, and they usually do that. But they set up a system where $120 a month since 2014 has been sent to Verizon, and either it's been over or under. I never had a problem with my bill. But at this time, the bill was, and I'm thinking December, was $146. So I asked the guy who was going to sell me the set-top box, what would be the cost? And so he said to me, and I brought a copy of the ad. The ad says $77.99, and then it has a couple of wordings after it. There are fees or something like that. I have a copy. I'd like to read it directly from that.
The fine print.
Yeah, the fine print. Fine print says, or in this case, it says automatic payment and 2-year agreement plus tax, equipment, charges, and other fees up to 940 over 888 millibatts. Now, as I read the franchise description, it says that information relative to pricing should be concise and direct. If that's concise and direct, and I'm paying taxes, equipment, charges, and other fees, I don't have the slightest idea what that is. So I attempted to find out what that is. So by the time I got the set-top box installed, and 3 people calling me and telling me that they couldn't help me, I walked down to the corner, which is about 4 blocks from my house, and got the set-top box and brought it back to the house. I called them and asked them what could I do to put the set-top box in. And probably within that time, in the 1st of January, I got the set-top box to work. But then the bills did not change very much in terms of $77.99. It went someplace else. And I don't have a copy of each one of those months' bills, but it changed differently from what I was paying prior to December the 15th. and I think December the 15th is when I asked for the digital set-top box, and what about the $77.99 price? In my most recent conversation with Verizon, based on your conversation and my calling him back, well, the $77.99 was really $89.99. And the reason for the increase is because, and this I just got recently, is because it says automatic payment. I said that I've been paying my bill. How? Automatically. They put $120 in that account, and Verizon debited that account every month. It's not an automatic payment in terms of Verizon. It's strictly on my checking account, and I told my children how to pay that bill. Just simply put it on, and they'll automatically, if Verizon sends a bill in, they will give them $120. Verizon now says it has to be automatic. That doesn't say that in the franchise paper. The paper doesn't say anything about I have to pay it anyway, except to pay them. Verizon, the lady on the phone said, no, it's $89.99. And I said, miss, you are now telling me about what the salesman previously told me, and I didn't listen to that conversation because I called to talk to you about some other kinds of things that have happened to my account. And if that's what you're going, we are finished with this conversation. She said, well, you know this conversation is recorded. And I said, if you're recording this call, I need to record it too. I think we finished this conversation. And I hung up. I sent them a letter, and a copy of the letter I sent to the office. Mrs. Keys got a copy of the letter, and she sent it to them. To date, they haven't responded to the letter. But not only that, when I went home the month of August, sometime about 3 o'clock in the morning, when my daughter was going to call me to let me know what time to take my medicine, Verizon calls. I pick up the phone, and they said, unless you give us $180 right away, your phone service is cut off. So I told him I had a check. I could give them the routing number and account number, and they could collect the $180. I gave them the $180, and supposing I went back to the phone later to see whether or not it was working, and the lady said, you need $35 more. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. So what did I do? I don't want to argue with anybody. 3 o'clock in the morning, I paid the $35, and they cut on everything, even the computer that my daughter was using and the telephone. So I paid them $180 and $35. The next month I got a bill. They charged me $50 for being late with the fee. We were in negotiation when I left this meeting, I thought as far as the cost would be concerned, they would at first resolve that item. They don't resolve items until the following 30 days rolls over. But they cut my phone off in the middle of the night. The franchise rule says they have to give me 10 days notice, and they can't do it in the middle of the night. At 3 o'clock in the morning, a.m., they cut my phone off. So the month of February, sometime around the 15th of February, there's no phone and there is no computer because my daughter is away in school. She doesn't answer the emails and don't look at it if they don't call me on the phone. And if it's Verizon, I don't answer it. But Verizon decides that I get no service during the month of February, starting around the 15th. I am not exactly sure. Verizon sent me a letter saying, we're sorry that your service has been delayed. Sometime around maybe the 19th, they called me and told me that. Lady upstairs that is co-chair of the building I'm in came down and also asked me, did I have phone service or internet? And I said, no. 4 or 5 days later, she says, well, what are you gonna do? I said, well, I have a cell phone. I'm not really worried about that because my doctor and my daughters can call me on my cell phone. Would you believe Verizon called me on the cell phone to tell me that I was late with my bill? I am tired of Verizon. I don't want to go to find a lawyer to help that, but I thought I'd come back here again and tell you where things are. But I started out with Verizon on a separate bill after I got a divorce back in July of 2014. They gave me 2 account numbers, and sometime during the 2014 or 2015, they gave me another account number. As far as I know, my bill went from July to July, and then July again for 2 years. Now my bill ends in September. When I questioned them about how do you go from July to September, and someone said, well, the 2-year contract ran out, and then we charge you month to month. Nobody's never told me about that. But given that my granddaughters looked at my account and saw that it was late in some cases, they paid whatever the overage was. Verizon has never talked to me over the telephone like I was human or I had any sense at all. It's always, wait, let's look at your bill. But they sent me 2 bills. I just finished talking to the young lady. In my mailbox are 2 letters I got today. Neither one of them addressed the question about the $50 that they charged me last month for not paying the bill, or the $40 cents they charged me previously, or what happened to the difference between what I say happened to my phone service and internet service in February and what they said. They told, well, it's just only been 5 days. And I guess it's a matter of take it or leave it. So they gave me $26 back for February.
Okay, that's a good thing.
But the telephone was out for 2 weeks. They were prorating it at $26. I don't know how they got $26 a day, but they came up with $26 a day. When I talked to somebody on the telephone, I stayed on the telephone long enough to understand from the lady, well, you realize we prorated it over 30 days. February has 30 days. Which one do you think that's true?
How can we help you today?
I want them to answer the letter I sent to them, go back to December and straighten out all of these things that have happened and give me credit for February when I had no service whatsoever. The other part of it, the letter that the young lady sent me after I stopped talking to her on the phone, says that the regs for the franchise says you have to respond to us in writing, and we have to respond to you by email. And the commission's papers says in writing. Does in writing means by email?
It does.
It does.
It does.
It does.
And the good thing about email is it's an audit trail and it is admissible in court. So I would recommend that if they say communicate by email, that.
Well, I think you need to change the cable franchise rules, because it says writing, and you're interpreting writing to mean email.
That's what it means.
That
That's
is
exactly what
writing
it means.
is email.
Writing includes email now.
Well, I looked up 3 or 4 cases recently in this county, and when it talked about documents being served on Verizon or any other cable, they talked about documents being delivered by either a server or by mail.
I think that you have several issues that you've had for the last year, and the tension is that you do not want to communicate with Verizon in the way that they need to in order to accommodate you. You say you don't like to talk to them on the phone, you don't do email, you rarely like to go actually talk to someone, so it's difficult to understand how Verizon can help you when you don't really want to communicate in the way that they need to communicate. Because I feel like we heard about the December and the outage a few months ago, and I recall seeing that in previous meetings. And so I don't know how we can resolve this if you are unwilling to kind of go along with the way that their business practices are set up. Email is set up to protect you and to protect Verizon, and you have an accounting of everything that you've ever said back and forth with them. And if you don't feel comfortable with email, maybe your granddaughter can set up an account just for Verizon.
Well, I don't think the court will be satisfied with email because they can send me a letter.
Okay, well,
They sent me two of
yeah,
them
we're not
yesterday.
a
Yeah.
legal entity, and we're not lawyers.
Yeah.
We are here to try to help you resolve your situation. And I'm suggesting to you that it may be easier for you if you become a little more flexible in the manner in which you speak to Verizon.
And let me say that business practices, 30 days is a standard, whether it's 28 days or 31 days.
That's right.
Businesses
Day to day.
use 30 days.
Even for February?
And
Yes.
For every month,
So how do you prorate February then?
as 30 days. Just like December has 31 days. In their book, it's still 30 days, but you get that extra day. So they use standard practices is a 30 day, so that's standard in business.
The franchise also refers to things like the $50 they charge me for not paying in a timely fashion.
That's for a reconnect fee, probably, sir. I would imagine.
Sorry, what you said?
Once they disconnect your service, they charge usually $50 as a reconnection fee. But maybe Ms. Sandy can speak to that. But
I have no comment.
I mean, there are business practices for when, bills are not paid and when they're paid late. So I don't know how, I don't know that, Verizon can not do that, to make an exception for you. That is the business practice. And if you are willing to have the service, then this is something that you have to, and it sounds like they were calling you to tell you that they were gonna disconnect your service, but you said earlier that you don't take their calls. So I don't think that they didn't tell you, it's, you're not answering their phone calls.
You're saying that a email is communication.
It is. It is considered standard communication in 2019. Email is considered legal, it's binding, and it is the standard. And I understand that it's
So where
based on,
does the $50 come in? Is that,
was a late fee.
now the late fee, that's on this, it says 1.5%.
there's
Yeah,
a
that's a
reconnection fee.
What about the 40, in the list of fees, it has a 40-cent fee and a $1.20 fee at a different time.
Is that taxes? Is that taxes going
No,
to?
it says fees.
Those are fees, standard fees that have been
It
charged.
is
They usually vary.
FT, no, it's not.
And they explain that in the bills also.
It's under Verizon surplus, surcharge fee. On one of the bills, it says 40 cents. My grandmother couldn't figure out how they charged me just 40
So
cents.
those are questions that they can answer for you, easily, over the phone or via email.
Okay, but if the bill is $100 and you charge 1.5%, it's one thing. But if it's $200, the fees would be something totally different, right?
I'm not sure how they calculate.
Well, I'm just saying if you took 1.5% as a penalty for being late or not responding to the bill. You can't have the same fee for $100 that you have for a $200 bill.
Well, we don't know what their fees are. I mean, we can't.
Oh, yeah, it
We
says
don't
that, no.
regulate
But we
their
don't know
fees.
what that fee
Right.
is. It possibly is not connected to the 1.5%.
Yeah.
Because the 1.5% is on your $200 or your $100. So if it doesn't change, then it's not the 1.5%. It's something else.
It's a different fee.
Well, this is to avoid a late fee charge of 1.5 of your total bill.
Right, that means you have to pay when it's due.
But the bill is paid forward for 15 days. Verizon collects money prior to it being accumulated from use. The bill that's due January 1st is, takes in January 1st through the 15th is what you'll pay for. If I pay for January 1st through the 15th, and I have not used the service during that period of time, you pay Verizon bill in advance. So how do you determine a fee if it's a penalty or if it's late in advance if you haven't used the service?
So we'll be glad to reach out to Verizon on your behalf to provide us information about that. Because the last time they provided you a full detail, an explanation of your bill.
No, it's individual bills by month. They gave me a listing of bills from 2018 through 2019.
Yeah, you requested for 6 months billing with
No,
explanation. And
they gave it to me for a whole year.
For a whole year, right?
Okay.
With explanation. So if you need further explanation, we'll be glad, to reach out to Verizon again on your behalf.
They're liable to charge me another $50 while I'm waiting for them to tell me whether or not the bill is corrected.
Well, I suggest you go ahead and pay it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if there's a
Go back and get
mistake,
credit.
then
They
they'll
will
credit
credit
your
that.
account.
Well,
You have to pay your
I think
bill.
that I need to go to small claims court in order to make sure that there is something that forbids Verizon for charging interest that's unconscionable, because I haven't accumulated the service. And unconscionability is what they're doing. If they charge me from January 1st to the 15th, and I only use December, then that's unconscionable. You will probably use it from 1st to the 15th, so we'll charge you in advance.
Well, that's definitely your right to do so.
Thank you.
Or you also have the right to go to Comcast, Cox, DirecTV.
I can go to court also.
Yes, you have that right to go to court too.
So I assume,
But it'll cost you far more than
Wow.
40 cents to go to court.
I know that,
Okay,
but I assume that the franchise is taking that they're not, that they've done what they will do.
I'm sorry,
Was
what
that a
was the
question?
I didn't understand.
Well,
the
I wrote
question.
a letter to Verizon last month. We sent that out to them.
The letter about the invoices and all that stuff?
Yes,
Yes, that was this month, earlier this month,
this
yes.
month, and they haven't responded to that yet.
They didn't send you anything in
No,
mail yet?
they sent me these two bills today. One says there's a total of $204, and the other one simply says we're about to cut your telephone off. They haven't responded to that letter yet.
Ms. Handy, did you receive the letter?
The letter was sent to the county as well as customer.
Well, she didn't get you didn't tell me about it.
Did you?
That's what we were discussing earlier, that's why I asked.
Oh, that was the letter you got.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we were discussing on the phone earlier today, that's why I was asking, did you get anything in the mail yet?
No, I got nothing.
Nothing, okay.
Is it possible you can give him a copy of
Yes.
what you received?
No, actually, yeah, sorry. I was gonna ask, when you picked up your new set box, did you return the old one?
Oh no, the old one. The first question came is the old one cost me $11.20 per month, and they prorated it over the month of December. When they added two set-top boxes at $12 each, they gave me back $11.20. I'm not sure of the exact figure. I thought the $11.20 is what I had been paying for the old box, and now that I got one box, they were now selling. They were now charging me $12 for each one of the boxes, including the old one. So it went from $11 and something cent per box to $12 for two boxes, the one that I had for 2 years.
Right, that's the cost.
Yeah.
$11.20 to $12.
I believe Karen confirmed, that was a prorated charge.
They said it
for
was
the
a
first
prorated
month.
charge. I don't.
It was all explained to him, with a copy of the FCC letter when he questioned it, back in December and January, and every single month, when we talk to him, we follow up with him with the letter in writing. Because he has advised us, if we don't put it in writing, this call never has happened. So every time we talk to our customer, we follow up with a letter. and everything has been detailed and broken down. I don't know what else we can do.
They have not given me a letter on each of the phone calls. That is not the truth. If they gave me an email, and here again, maybe I'm misinterpreting that. And as I hear from you, maybe I did have letters returning.
Email is official notification.
We do receive a copy of the email.
So,
the
I
right,
guess
and we provide that to you.
what I need to do, if I can't get my $50 back, I guess I need to go to small claims court.
That is your right.
And will I get a written description of what conclusion the franchise came to? Because I'd like to take that to court also.
Well, we haven't come to any conclusion, sir. Our job is to try and assist you to solve your problem. But as the chairperson has stated, if you're not willing to talk to them on the phone and you're not willing to accept their email, we're not sure how we can help you.
They can put that in writing to me. Whatever the answer is. The letter that I sent them the first of this month was in writing. It told them exactly what I wanted to know.
And I
think she said
understand
she
that
has
they
the
wrote you back.
response, And she's
Okay.
got it, and she's
But they've
committed to
also-
making a copy for you.
It's after the 15th of the month, and they've already charged me $50 for not paying that bill.
Yeah, you have to pay your bill, and if you understand that, you should pay it. And if you wanna continue to, pursue this, then you can always go back and get a credit, but your obligation is to pay the bill. And
I
if
don't
you-
think I have an obligation for
Okay.
bills not
Yeah,
resolved.
well, that again is your choice, and this body doesn't, we have no opinion about whether you wanna pay your bill or not, but,
It's not a matter of me not paying my bill.
yeah, but you will continue to
Because
get
I
those
paid my
charges.
bill for 27 years.
Absolutely.
27 years.
Yes.
I believe that the bill is automatic. I mean, it's computer generated, and
Yeah.
the billing system is probably not aware of your open dispute. So, I concur with the other commissioners that it would be in your best interest to, and I know it's tough, and I know it may not be your first choice, but continue to pay the bills, and then if you come to resolution, there may be an opportunity for a credit.
That's better than
But you're gonna
concurring.
continue to get the
Calls.
disconnect notice because it's automated. That is truly automated. I mean, there's no bean counter sitting there pulling people's bills out to say, well, this one is in dispute, so it's not gonna go through the computer
So
system.
they treat me differently than they.
No, we're saying they're
No,
treating you the
they're
same. We're
different.
saying they're treating you the same because your bills are automated
Yeah.
from a computer system.
Yeah, the calls for your bills they're generated at a certain point in the cycle. You'll start getting the calls, you'll start getting the texts, you get the information, your bill is past due. This is what you need to do, and then, you get to
But
the
your
point.
reg says they can only cut the telephone off during regular, daylight hours. 3 o'clock in the morning, at regular daylight hours.
Yeah,
We can't speak to that,
Yeah.
sir.
yeah.
Well, I can't go I sent a copy of the letter to them at 3 o'clock in the morning.
We submitted a complaint on that behalf, so we're still.
We'll wait to
Waiting
hear
for a
about that.
response.
Okay.
Well, we did ask, they request to, have a credit for the $50, but they said it is a reconnect fee, they wouldn't credit that, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. So, is there any other, public comment?
There are no more public comment, but from Mr. Evans, he said, I don't know how we want to resolve that, because he stated that he was asked to come to the Cable Commission to have his issue resolved. So we reached out to Mrs. Pitches on his
Yes, we
behalf.
did.
And Mrs. Pitches called me yesterday and personally informed me that she has tried to reach out to
Yes.
him,
Yes.
how to know our bill. So.
Yes. Commissioner Driver asked him, if he would be willing to reach out, and he says he has, and he has, so.
But Mrs.
And I would even go as far as to ask again, because, and I would just ask you one final time, if we have an opportunity to try to connect you and Mrs. Peaches again, because I would regret that it would go where you wanna take it if we can make the communication happen for you.
Particularly,
Well, condoning evil is just going on with it. Ms. Peaches had no desire.
But we don't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're drawing a conclusion without Mrs. Peaches being here. And
I'm
I
not
would,
drawing a conclusion, I'm
Well,
telling you the facts.
well, but
And we reached out to Ms. Peaches, okay? Ms. Peaches had determined.
we don't
She
know what
doesn't-
she has determined. We can't, and let me just say this,
Don't defend her because.
I'm not defending, I'm just trying to be an equal party, serving as a commissioner. I'm trying to serve you as the public who has come before us with an issue, and we reached out on your behalf. And even though the two of you have not had an opportunity to communicate, what I'm asking is if you would reconsider and give us another opportunity to try to connect you and Mrs. Peaches. And, I feel very strongly that we can't draw any conclusions because, she's there working. We don't know what her schedule is and why she was unable to answer the phone. But I'm asking if you would reconsider. And I would be willing to, as directed by our chair and the commission, to do whatever we can to try to connect you with that communication one last time before you take it to where you have said you want to take it. I'm just asking if you're willing.
Okay, how do you propose to do this?
If the commission agrees, I can personally reach out to Mrs. Peaches and see if I'll, ask you for some dates and times and see if those dates and times align with her schedule. And if we can align your schedules, then I will even go to her office. And if you are willing for me to listen to that conversation and try to make that meeting happen. That's what I'm personally offering to you.
You and I should meet with Ms. Peaches at the station.
If that is appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Okay. I'm willing to do that then if all three of our schedules align.
I'm available anytime you.
Okay, well, I will check with Mrs. Peaches because, again, she's running her organization. I will reach out and try to get some dates and times from her. I'll get your contact information from Gina, and then, like I said, I'll try to make everyone's schedules align so we can have that meeting.
I look forward to it.
Okay.
thank you.
Mrs. Peaches also requested, she also stated that she's willing to come to the next meeting to discuss this, so.
I haven't
but-
said 6 months. It is costing me money. So to say she'll come to the next meeting 30 days from now, when I first proposed it back in May, it's sort of frustrating.
Well, we only found out about this last month, so we followed up on your behalf. So we've been working with Ms. Peaches ever since you came to the meeting
I
last year.
went through every step that their website said to do. Okay? And now it's running on 10 months and another month. So please, that's the frustrating part. She can delay and she can delay. I look forward to the meeting.
Okay,
we'll
and
have.
all I'm saying is, and I agree with Gina, we just found out about it last month. We immediately reached out
Yep.
with a written correspondence. And again, I can't speak for anybody else's schedule, but I will personally try to make this meeting happen on your behalf, if you're open to that.
Sure, like I said.
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
Gina, is that good with you?
That's complete with public comment.
Okay. Okay, thank you again,
Sure,
Commissioner
yeah.
Driver, for offering to do that. We certainly do want to help you resolve this issue.
Like I said, and Mr. Milligan says he would get back with me by Thursday. I've got a conference call with him. I'll let him know. And then, let's say, probably on Monday we'll draft up whatever we need to draft up.
Okay, now I can't promise you I can make this meeting happen before Monday, because again, it's aligning.
No, I said
Okay.
next Thursday.
Okay, next Thursday, okay.
I talked.
But I will do my best to align our schedules as soon as possible.
Okay. And the other thing is, because the most frustrating thing about it is, she avoids the phone calls, but there's so much airtime that she has with no programming on it. Okay? And then she turns around and she broadcasts all other kind of religions in different countries.
Well, but as part of her response, they have a specified time slot for, religious for faith-based programming.
And, again, I wasn't given that response. because
Right,
it
and that was
very-
part of our intent,
And
was
I
to
didn't
get that,
the
part of our
minutes.
intent and our objective was to get that information for you, and so part of the response was, PGC TV airs 20 different religious programs a week. Programming begins each Sunday at 9:30 a.m. and it ends at 11:30 p.m.
This is public access, and for her to respond to that, okay, so I got 20, I don't want any more?
No, that's
She
not,
can't-
that's not what that says. That's just giving us information about where they are now.
She puts Islamic programming on during the week, okay? She put preaching on from Africa on the weekends, right? This is a public access.
And those folks are part of the public also,
Right.
correct?
No, they're not locally in PG County.
But that's not a criteria. The
Yes, it is.
criteria, well, absolutely it is not, based
I've
on,
been doing this a
based
long
on
time.
these,
It has to
but,
be a person within the county. A preacher from Africa can't appear on the public access channel in the county. TV.
okay, I'm going by what Mrs. Peaches has said, and I think the best thing to do now going forward is to take up Commissioner Driver's gracious offer to, to try to connect you. Because we're not going to,
Yeah,
to litigate the
yeah.
parameters and the boundaries and the rules of what they do. That's not what we're here
I
for.
understand.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this for 15 years, okay, and I've dealt with other public access channels, no problem. And I'm saying, what she's saying is not true, based on my experience, okay? And I've read franchise agreements from other counties across the country. I'm telling you, what she's saying is not true.
Okay, well, it'll be good, if you all can meet face to face and work that out.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming tonight.
I have one other question. I had trouble finding the meeting for July, the fourth week of July, on the internet. I guess one of the problems is, I don't know where to look for it. Where it says cable company, it says minutes and agenda. It has the agenda, but not the minutes. I couldn't find the minutes for the last 2 months. I stumbled across it on YouTube.
Yeah, the meetings are streamed on YouTube and archived there, and I don't know where the minutes are.
Well, in May, I
The
saw
minutes
them
are not
someplace else.
Okay.
Website.
There's someplace else other than YouTube? No.
No, the YouTube is
No,
for
the
the
minutes are
video.
not uploaded on the website, but
I mean, on the
you're talking,
county
yeah,
website.
the minutes are not uploaded on the website. However, if you want to request a copy of the minutes, we'll be glad to provide
Okay,
that.
thanks.
Are there any comments from the commissioners?
No.
I have no further comment.
Okay. Is there any additional business before this commission tonight? Okay, hearing none, our next meeting,
Reports.
The next,
oh, yeah,
Representative reports.
yeah, okay. So our Comcast representative and our Verizon representative.
well, Comcast representative is not here.
Right.
And, Verizon representative, she did state that she didn't have any comment before she left, so
Yes.
she's not here, but she left for the day.
Our next meeting is October 23rd, in the same room, same time. Thank you, and we stand adjourned.